Welcome to Plus One Forward, the podcast powered by the Apocalypse, where we talk about tabletop role-playing games using or inspired by the Apocalypse engine. I'm your MC Rich, and I'm joined by my guest, Nathan Paoletta of NDP Design. Hey Nathan, welcome to the show.
Hey Rich, thanks for having me. Good to be back on one of your productions.
It is always good to have you, man. I'm very happy to have you here. So let's kick it off with our normal question. How long have you been playing PbtA games, and what was your gateway?
I played Apocalypse World back in the day. I wasn't a super early adopter, but I think it came out in 2010, the first edition. Mm-hmm. So I played for the first time with some friends in Chicago soon after that, so probably 2011 or so, in a treetop canopy apocalypse, which was super interesting.
Treetops brought the apocalypse? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so it was the ground had been poisoned by whatever caused the apocalypse, so the survivors had retreated to the treetops and built, fortified positions in the tops of these giant trees that were poisoned themselves, but just slowly rotting from the inside out instead of being completely poisonous. It was good.
Holy crap! Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna have to bring that to the table sometime. That sounds cool. Did you run it, or were you playing in it, or what?
No, I was playing in that.
Do you remember what playbook it was?
Yes, I played a savvy head who retired to safety, and then I took over the hard holder NPC as a character and played the hard holder. Yeah,
man, you hardly ever hear about people who retire to safety. That is awesome.
It was great. It was there was just a great moment that synced up with the mechanical ability to do so, and I was really interested in playing another playbook, and so that all kind of fell into place very naturally in that particular game. And playing the hard holder after playing a different playbook is a really interesting experience that I recommend for folks who haven't. I think it's probably a little different than just grabbing the hard holder right off the top.
Interesting. Would you say that it was because the hard hold was kind of already formulated in everybody's mind that made it different for you?
Yeah, a little bit, and also that there was already a whole kind of umbrella of or a network of NPCs that we all already kind of knew about a little bit. So
right,
I already had certain attachments to those characters as a player that kind of drove my decision-making as the hard holder, right? It was cool.
That is awesome. Wow, cool. Okay, well, let's jump over here and read a Sitch. All right, Nathan?
All right.
Read a Sitch. Nathan, I'd like to talk to you because I consider you, of the people that I know who created games to answer kind of questions within RPGs, maybe you've got a specific point of view here that might help me. I run a lot of games for the Gauntlet, and one of the things I run into is that I'll run for an entire month every Saturday on Saturday morning cartoons, and not everybody can make every single Saturday, and we facilitate drop-in, drop-out play. And with games that have, a lot of the PbtA games have the HX and backstories and the like, and those are pretty complex things, and so sometimes integrating someone into an ongoing game can be a bit of a challenge. What's your point of view on how can you solve for that?
Yeah, so I think drop in, drop out is something that can be handled both as a general technique thing that is applied to any game, right? And then some games have specific instruments for helping with that. In the general sense, while one of the powers of a lot of the HX stuff and other background integration things is that everyone gets to kind of pull together and feel very intertwined. That's not necessary, right? That can grow in play as opposed to be all determined before play or at the very beginning.
Right.
So one thing that I think most systems can handle is having those HX questions, right? And then maybe answering them as you play as opposed to having that player have to figure out connections that fit with everyone else's right at the beginning of the session.
Nice.
Or maybe even say pick one that is the most important to your character, and let's do that one first, and then maybe the other ones can fall into place. That kind of thing. And then players can go ahead and play, and then find the intersections, as opposed to try and force intersections that then everyone else has to try to remember, and that can be difficult.
That's cool. It's almost like a game of Clue, too, right? You try to hook in those little puzzle pieces.
Yeah, and I think that also gives the freedom for the player to kind of jump in, right? And be like, oh, here's where I have this question that relates, I see it relating to your character in this scene. So what if this is part of our backstory, right? And then another one is, this is something from that I first saw in Matt Wilson's Primetime Adventures, the idea of doing a last time on recap at the top of a segment. I don't know if you do something like that in your games, but in addition to kind of recapping the game for everyone to get everyone back to the same place, you can also be like, okay, so this is last time on our session. Now, you, player coming in, what was your character doing off screen during that time, right? And then that can just be on the fly, just make something up, whatever makes sense for your character. But then we all kind of go forward with that in mind of like, oh, this character was doing this stuff, and it's a way to start integrating them into the session a little more naturally, I think.
That is sharp, man. I really like that. Cool. Any other techniques that you might use to help people kind of jump in?
I mean, the love letter thing in Powered by the Apocalypse is a good tool also. I think it's pretty well documented. And in Worldwide Wrestling specifically, like, has some mechanical tools that let people grab the spotlight, and that's a way for people just to jump in and be like, now I'm involved. And that's kind of like a harder player-directed way to do it. That's a mechanical feature of this game that could be used in other games, whether it's like a token that's like, oh, I want to be in the scene that you get, for example, maybe if you're a new player, like, oh, here's your spotlight token for when you want to be in a scene that I haven't noticed that you should be in, that kind of thing. So there's some thoughts for you.
I love it. There's some great little brain droppings, and you've already mentioned Worldwide Wrestling, so I think we should open our brain up to this game. What do you think, Nathan?
All right, sounds good.
Open your brain. Nathan, you have designed Worldwide Wrestling RPG. Now, I just want to say that I'm a person who, my White Whale RPG is a sports game, and I've pretty much just given up on the idea that someone could make an RPG that I would like that's a sports game. And then all of a sudden you come running in here with Worldwide Wrestling, and it is a pretty cool game, but maybe some people haven't heard about it. So tell me about Worldwide Wrestling. What's the setup, and what's it about?
I came running in with a steel chair. Let me be very clear about that.
Yes!
Yeah, so Worldwide Wrestling is a professional wrestling role-playing game powered by the Apocalypse. And I think what makes it a compelling game is, in addition to giving you tools to create like some of the sports drama, right? The drama of competition, struggling to be the winner. Because professional wrestling is both in and out of character, it has an on-screen and a backstage component. The game does that as well. So for players who are more immersed in wrestling as a fandom, they can kind of do their favorite stuff, and the game supports that. And for players who don't know as much about quote-unquote real-world wrestling, there's still the aspect of you're playing a character, right? And your character, in fact, has a character. And so you can dig into that idea of, how is my character portraying themselves to get more famous? That's the central question of the game. Are you going to get famous enough to stay employed and make your way to the top of the card and be, the greatest pro wrestler that the world has ever seen, essentially? So it has the back and forth fighting, it has the on-stage, off-stage, and it has the competition with each other in kind of a friendly way, because you all are working together to tell a great story, because that's how everyone improves. But you also still want to be top of the heap. You still want to be first in the pack. So there's a little bit of edge of real competition in there as well for those who want to push in that direction. Nice.
Lots of different levels. And from the few times that I've been able to play Worldwide Wrestling, I've been fascinated by, this is a game where it's kind of role players playing role players, which is so meta and just delicious. I love that. That is cool.
I do want to point out that that is intentional, right? Like, that was one of the insights that led to me developing the game, was that there's so many shared patterns between role-playing games as games and pro wrestling as its own art form. But it's not complicated. Like, you don't have to keep all of these things in mind while you're playing. You just play your character honestly, and you can see those different layers as you play. It's easy to play in that way, and I think that's what's made it pretty, made people have a pretty strong response to it, a strong positive response.
Yeah, well, I've seen a bunch of people come in and they'll say, I haven't watched wrestling since XYZ time or high school or elementary, and that doesn't matter. I don't know wrestling moves a whole lot. Well, here's a sheet so you could cheat, or we'll just make it up as you go. And Nathan, what mechanics in World War Wrestling are different from, say, Apocalypse World?
I think there's enough to be familiar to Apocalypse World and Powered by the Apocalypse fans. It speaks the same language of moves and roll 2d6 and all that stuff. But there's a pretty big conceptual addition, and then there's a couple mechanical additions that I think are particularly central to the game. So one is that conceptually, there's the idea of the imaginary viewing audience. So your characters, your wrestlers in the game, are performing for an audience. And as players, you can use that as a tool to aid your portrayal. So you describe how your character is grandstanding to the crowd. You describe how they do one thing on camera and then a different thing off camera where the audience can't see them, that kind of thing. And I think that idea gives a lot of freedom to people to really just go like crazy with their character or go over the top with promos and stuff like that. And it also hooks into how a lot of the individual moves work, because the narrative context for them, it only makes sense when you know that you're being watched as you're doing it, right?
Right.
So there's that, and then mechanically, there's a couple additional currencies that aren't in core Apocalypse World. So first of all, stats are a little lower than your starting stats in a standard Apocalypse World character, but you have this thing called momentum, which you build up over the course of an entire session for doing well on moves. And then you spend momentum. Momentum is kind of forward, but it builds up over time as opposed to being like a one-time, use this under this condition kind of thing. And so a lot of the game is managing your momentum because you want to, if you're building up to a big moment that you want to nail, then you want to conserve your momentum so you have it all to spend for that big moment. And that's reflecting how wrestling, things don't really go catastrophically wrong necessarily. When they do, they really do. But there's kind of this baseline level of competence, and that's what the momentum is reflecting. When you get to the big, hot moment of the show, your characters are probably going to be able to do what they want. The question is what your characters want going with what the GM wants? And if those are opposed, then you get into how the game handles what's called swerves, changing the booking, changing the storyline. Because the GM or creative has the whole thing planned out at the beginning of the session and then needs to roll with what happens and make it look as if it happened and make it look like it was that way all along for the viewing audience. And then there's an additional kind of component of character advancement where when you gain XP, it's actually going towards getting more popular. So you have this audience stat that is kind of an addition. And that reflects kind of your place on the card, how popular you are. And that's kind of in between gaining experience and gaining advances. So that's another level there where it's like you're trying to get your big feuds really hot, get high heat, or that's the HX stat. So get high heat with your big opponent, but then only by getting a big hot feud do you get that audience score, and that's what you're really going for. So, and then that leads to the experience to get new moves and improve the character.
It sounds like a whole lot of balls to juggle. How is it that, what's the easiest way that you walk through a new player? Like, you need to do momentum in order to get heat, and then heat to get XP. Is that the threefold model?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, my kind of standard spiel for like a one-shot or a convention game is pick what moves seem cool, right? Like, the moves are all good and fun and reflective of your gimmick. That's your playbook, is your wrestling gimmick. As you're playing, what you're aiming for is you want to build up heat with someone and then have a match with them, because that's how you get audience. Getting audience is your ultimate goal, because you want to be the most popular wrestler on the card. As you play, individual moves are going to tell you that you can get momentum, or you have to spend momentum. As they come up, we'll handle it. Pretty self-explanatory. But if you have no particular reason to take another result, momentum always helps you. So you don't need to. I think there is a bit of system mastery to kind of aiming for building momentum in a specific way that syncs up with your gimmick. But if you're playing for the very first time, it's like, do what you think is cool. The moves will kick in when they kick in. If you have a choice of getting momentum and doing something else and you have no reason to do the other thing, just get the momentum. It'll always help you. And then aim to build heat with someone and then wrestle them. So those are your short-term goals.
I like that because there's two levels, right? There's kind of the basic level that people can easily understand, but then there's a deeper level of play. I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, there is strategic in the sense of it's not complicated, but for people who have played the game decent amount, they'll usually find some specific route they want to take with their character and then aim for that. And that's not necessarily 100% obvious from the outset that you can do that. And that's kind of the system mastery complexity part where, it's like any game that's sufficiently complex. Once you see all the pieces work together, you can start to manage it and make it the experience you really want out of it.
You've got a ton of gimmicks out there with all the expansions, so there is a bevy of moves to choose from when I ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite move in Worldwide Wrestling and why?
All right, so I deliberately did not choose a particular gimmick move because a lot of them are great, but also very contextual. Some of them are jokes for real wrestling nerds. So those I appreciate, but they're probably not my favorite. My favorite move is actually just one of the basic moves, which is called Run In. And this move reads, when you interrupt a match in progress, roll plus heat with the wrestler you're coming after. The move results are about it becoming a hot angle, gaining heat with each other, and then attacking them in the ring, getting them disqualified, getting their opponent disqualified, change the result of the match, booking you in another match, that kind of stuff. And I love this move because, as I mentioned in the earlier segment, this is a player grabs the spotlight move, and it operates in a way that is both thematic and doesn't interrupt play. It's a move that's specifically there to let someone say, oh, you guys are having this great match, but I'm in a feud with you, and I don't want you to win, so I'm going to run in and interrupt, which is a very wrestling thing. Like, that happens all the time. It's usually how new feuds start and how they spin off and change.
Mm-hmm.
But on the player level, it's a non-disruptive way for you to say, I'm a little bored and I want to be involved. Because you don't have to have heat with someone to run in. It's just what you roll on. You can botch a run in and have that have negative fallout for your character. As a player, you're saying, I want to be involved in this storyline. And it almost always drives the story in a new place. It adds a new feud to the card, gives creative something new to work with. And I think players really enjoy having that ability in a mechanically sanctioned way where they don't feel like they're interrupting the scene. Like, the whole point is to interrupt the scene. It's fun to interrupt the scene when you use that move. So that's my favorite Worldwide Wrestling move.
That is a great move. I really like the way you've described it, and that does solve for so many different aspects of other games. That's cool. That's really cool.
That's what I say when I run a game. I say, here's all the basic moves. I'll keep an eye out to make sure that you're rolling, for when you're doing stuff. But let me go ahead and highlight the run-in for you because this is the I'm bored move. So if you're bored, you can run in, and we'll go from there. And it works.
Nice. Could you maybe do like a quick little bit here, a little act under fire? What do you think, Nathan?
Yeah, let's get you to the ring.
Oh man, I totally would have put like a ding ding.
You can put it in post.
It is time to act under fire. Okay, Nathan, you are going to give me just a quick little run through of some Worldwide Wrestling here. I'm so excited. I'd like to play The Plus, who is a veteran wrestler. I'll be using that gimmick.
All right. Great. So the Plus, the Mighty Plus, I will say, has been involved in a back and forth feud with El Diablo Mascara, who is a masked luchador with skeleton tights and wearing the mask of the Aztec god of the dead. He's been striking fear into the hearts of the other wrestlers, and as the most long-running member of the roster, you may be the only one to stand up to him. But the first question is, are you a babyface? Are you a good guy who stands up for what you believe in? Or are you a dastardly heel who cheats to get what you want?
I'm going to go with a baby face. He's a veteran. He wants to go out as a hero. Maybe he's had a turn as a heel a few times before, but he's a veteran who really just wants to go out on top.
All right. So El Diablo Mascara has he's attacked your friends backstage. He's locked your manager in a steam pipe basement that actually had a portal to the underworld in it, and you had to save him before he was dragged to the Aztec underworld. And now we are at the annual WrestlePalooza event where you are booked into a match to finally settle this score. So I'm acting as general creative for this. I'm not playing El Diablo Mascara as another player at the table. This is the creative role where he is a non-player wrestler. And so we will go through it from that perspective. So you'll be the one rolling dice and making moves, and I'll be making my creative moves, which do not involve dice. Go ahead and describe to me the backstage area that the Mighty Plus hangs out in or has as a home base for him. Is it a locker room? Does he have a private trailer? Does he pull up into the arena in an old rusted out pickup truck? What's his...
Oh man, those are all tempting options. I think we're playing at Gauntlet City High School. It turns out that this card doesn't have many female wrestlers, so they've actually stuck him in the girls' locker room because it's the only place where he can have a little bit of privacy as the veteran, because he's got a lot of various ailments. So he's got to put on a whole lot of different knee braces and other, got to get some shots, a little cortisone shot, that kind of stuff going on.
All right, so you're in there with a trainer to get you all wrapped up and everything. And then we have our live camera feed out to our viewing audience. There is a live audience in the school gymnasium who is here for Gauntlet Wrestling WrestlePalooza. But this is also being broadcast on YouTube as a live show, right? And then will be available Twitch, as an MP4 download later on. Yeah, Twitch is still a little out of the realm technologically, but you have some production assistance to get you out to YouTube at least. And so our viewing audience, we've seen a little pre-made trailer package about this feud that you've had, and then we cut to a live feed of a camera coming down the corridor towards the women's bathroom, where there's a cardboard star with the Mighty Plus written on it, pasted over the bathroom placard. There's a knock on the door. Swings open, and you're sitting there on the bench, and you're in your wrestling gear, ready to go, but with the trainer still wrapping up your knee from where El Diablo has been. He's been taking out that knee every chance, basically.
It would be an Achilles heel, except it's my knee.
It's an Achilles knee. And the young production assistant with the GoPro who's filming you asks from behind the camera, Mighty Plus, you've said that if you can't beat El Diablo Mascara tonight at WrestlePalooza at Gauntlet City High School, you are going to retire from wrestling forever. Your knee is obviously still in pain from where he took you out. What's your game plan going into this match? Can you handle his infernal strength?
I'll tell you what. I like Beck and Devil's haircut, but I don't like the Devil's mascara. I don't, sir. And yeah, I may be a one-legged man, but that is all I need as long as I've got the fans of Gauntlet League Wrestling behind me. Then I know that we can defeat this man together as a team. My tag team partner is you all out there on YouTube and everybody out here listening and watching this match. And yeah, maybe I'm at the end of my career, and some might even say, he's not giving up a whole lot, but this is my life here. And Mascara, you're going to run. You're going to run tonight.
All right. So that is a great promo you just cut. What is your plus look stat?
Oh, well, my look is flat because as a veteran, I only get one to add, and I'll just keep that one at 0.
All right. So you're going to go ahead and roll plus look. So roll plus 0.
All right, I got a 9.
Nice. So as a veteran, you actually, due to your audience score, you actually start with 1 momentum. So if you wanted to, you could spend your 1 momentum to take this to a 10. That's how momentum works. You spend it after you see the roll.
Right.
However, in this case, which you might want to do, we'll see. So at 7 to 9, the audience is paying attention to the impassioned promo you just cut. So you can make me book you in a match. You're already booked in a match. Probably not worth using at this juncture.
Okay.
You could add a stipulation to this match. For example, making it a cage match, or making it some kind of handicap match, or something else that plays to your strengths. You could gain an additional momentum, just bank it, then you'd have 2 to use later down the line. Or you could go ahead and gain an additional heat with El Diablo Mascara. And we'll go ahead and say that your heat with him is at +3 right now, and it caps at 4.
I think what I'd like to do is spend that momentum to bump it up to a 10. That gives me 1 momentum, so I get it back, but it allows me to pick one from the list as well. I'm going to add a stipulation to the relevant match. And if Diablo Mascara loses, I get his mask.
Oh, so this is now a retirement versus mask match.
Yes, it is.
All right, that is hot. So you still have 1 momentum. So narratively, it means that even as you really connect with the audience that was watching, they're not just paying attention; they're invested. So we actually hear the crowd that's watching on. There's like a plasma TV out in the gymnasium that's showing this to the live audience. They see you say this, and they start chanting for you as you've announced the crowd as your tag team partner. So now they're chanting for the plus as you come down the access corridor into the main body of the gymnasium to make your entrance for your retirement versus mask match. What does your entrance look like? Do you have particular music, any kind of special effects, or are you old school where you just come out with like a track jacket or a towel or something like that?
I think that he has for many years used We Will Rock You, a cover band version of it. And what's great about it is that you can draw out before the first guitar licks actually happen, any of the lyrics hit. And so it's that stomp, stomp, clap, stomp, stomp, clap. And if the audience is into it, right, it can really get raucous as he just walks around and he'll move and kind of wind his way down, giving everybody high fives, shaking hands, kissing babies, the big baby face man of the people maneuver that he does.
All right, so they're already cheering for you because you got that 10 on your promo. And then you come out with this hot entrance, and you described how you go around and give all the high fives and really get them in your corner for this. So you're going to go ahead and you're working the audience. So this is another basic move. You're working to get the audience in your corner behind you for this match. Your audience score, we'll say, is a 2 at this point in time. So go ahead and roll plus audience.
All right, I'm going to roll plus audience. Oh, that is a fail.
Oh, that is
a faily fail.
Even with your +2, that is 5, which is a botch. All right, so you still have your 1 momentum. Take 5 to a 6, still a botch. So you probably shouldn't spend that at this juncture. Okay. And so not every move has a specific fail thing, but for work the audience in particular. So you get out there, you're high-fiving the crowd, but the front row of this crowd is a bunch of raucous teenagers, and they love the bad guy. They're not into, old school happy baby faces. They're all wearing Diablo Mascara shirts, and some of them have like face paint that kind of matches like his mask. They're all booing you as soon as you come out. The crowd, is excited to see you, but when you go to do those high fives, they all just start jeering and laughing at you, and that kind of transmits into the rest of the crowd. So the stomping dies away, and you kind of, retreat back to the ring without having that impassioned tide behind you, unfortunately. And that also means that they kind of checked out of really being on your side, you cannot roll for work the audience again this episode.
Okay. But that's the thing, I could do multiple times otherwise if I hadn't failed.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. You could
Cool.
work them. It's, when you do it, you do it. So you can do it at the beginning of a match like this, or in the middle of a match, you could, pause to like go up to the corner and shake your fists and really get them worked up to help you out if you needed a boost there as well. So quickly, the production guys, seeing that the crowd has kind of died for you all of a sudden, they hit the lights and the fog machine and start playing the kind of eerie, kind of EDM-inspired music that is El Diablo Mascara's entrance. And so there's fog machines under the ring, so fog poofs up around the ring apron, a spotlight shoots down in the center of the ring. You know how the entrance works, right? So you kind of move out of the way so that you're not disrupting his entrance. Unless you want to disrupt his entrance, which would be another thing. That's up to you. Unless you interrupt. He runs down from the little entrance area in the dark, but he has like LED elements in his cloak that he wears out to the ring. So they kind of, there's little bursts of red and green lights as he runs out to the ring. All the teenagers in the front row start going crazy because he's the one that they came to see.
Right.
And he leaps over the top rope into the middle of the spotlight, executing a perfect somersault and landing flat with his arms out and staring around at the audience with his he has big white contacts in his eyes. So he has these, big white eyes staring out to the crowd and the red mask around his eyes and lips. And so they go crazy for the creepy, cool entrance of El Diablo Mascara.
There's a part of me that really admires that. That's good work.
He's good. He's good at what he does. All right, so since you blew that work the audience roll, we're going to go ahead and start the match with him in control of it. So the lights come back up. They ring the bell. This is where if we had another, player, they would start coming in on commentary to kind of describe this initial setup. But he pulls off his cloak, throws it to the little crowd of impassioned teens, and they all go crazy. Turns to face you, and then immediately rushes at you and goes directly for that injured knee. He just drives his shoulder right into that knee, pushing you down on the mat and rolling over so that he can grab it in his arm and actually pull it up into a submission hold where he's bending your knee around his neck.
Oh, wow. Relentless. This guy wants fast, huh? Okay.
He's coming out real fast. He wants to make sure that he gets his stuff in, as they say. So this is where we get into the back and forth of the match.
Okay.
Diablo Mascara is in control, so I kind of have final say right now about like what is happening to who. But you still have control over your character and how you're reacting to things. So while he's still in control, are you going in this moment of the match? Are you playing up how much he's hurting you? Are you trying to get away? Are you trying to counter him? What's your response to him going directly after your knee like this?
I'm going to play up that he's hurting me and definitely make that a big dramatic moment. Try to get back the crowd because I lost him for a bit there. So play a little bit on the pity side if they're going right after my knee. So yeah, that's what I want. All
right. So you're yelling and pounding on the mat. And he starts pulling you back towards the center of the ring. So if you could just get to the ropes, then he would have to break this hold. If you're holding onto the ropes, you can't hold onto the submission hold. And your fingers reach out, you're just about to grab them, and he pulls you back again and cranks your knee in his hold again. So in this instance, so this idea of control comes up now. I'm still in control. I'm going to go ahead and pass control to you now because I want to see you do some stuff.
Okay.
Additionally, anytime you want to take control, you can interrupt by spending momentum, and then you narrate how you counter what's going on and take control of the match. In a situation like this, where it's a creative, a non-player wrestler versus the player, there's a little bit more of giving it back and forth by the way that I want to pace out the match.
Right.
If we were both playing characters, then there'd be a little bit more of spending momentum to take control from each other, and also moves around as a result of the wrestling move, as we'll see. Yeah, but in this moment, I'm going to pass control over to you to narrate how you get out of this predicament.
As a veteran wrestler, I'm no stranger. This is very similar to the figure 4, which is as old as time. So I'm going to try to roll over and just wrestle my way out of this, right? I couldn't muscle it. I couldn't grab the rope. So now I'm just going to try to work the hold and break free.
You're going to go ahead and reverse the pressure on the hold. I see how it is. All right, great. So you're going to go ahead and roll for the wrestling move. How this works is it's the same move, but we pick what stat you roll on based on what you're actually doing. Right now, I would say you're either doing wrestling stuff, right? So you're going to roll plus work, or if your gimmick, if your whole deal is kind of being this like counter wrestler who like knows every little move and every little detail of the game, you could roll on your look because that describes your overall gimmick. So it's up to you, though it does sound like it's probably work right now.
Yeah, plus I'm a little bit better at work. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and roll with work, which gives me a +1.
All right.
Oh my goodness, that is boxcars, baby. So that is a 13.
Nice. All right, so you hit this move great. You're going to retain control of the match and pick whether you gain 2 momentum or gain another heat with your opponent. Now, I'll remind you, if you have 4 heat with your opponent at the end of this match, regardless of who wins, you will gain an audience.
Oh, yeah, I want that. Even if I go out, I want to go out on top. So, yeah, we'll take that heat up to 4.
Yeah. All right. So you reverse the pressure on this leg lock. And so what this looks like in the ring is you kind of rolling through his legs and then bridging over so that you're actually using your shoulders to push down on his leg. You've kind of reversed the whole hold, basically.
Nice. Okay.
So he's under you with your shoulders pressing down on his leg, and he's face down on the mat. He's reaching up as if to tap, but then he waves his finger like, no. Quickly, with almost inhuman speed, he attempts to roll away from you, pulling his legs out from under your shoulders and resetting back into the corner. You still have control of the match, however. Do you want to let him do this and kind of demonstrate how slippy and speedy he is, or are you going to keep a hold on him?
Oh, no. The better he looks, the better this match looks. So, yeah, he slips away.
All right. He slips away to the other corner. What are you going to do? Are you going to wait for him to come back, or are you chasing right after him?
I'm going to chase right after him because he's going to come right after my knee again. So as soon as he goes into the corner, I'm just going to bum rush him and try to, just like a bull, right? Just shoulder tackle him while he's knock him into the turnbuckle there.
All right. I'm envisioning that you may have one of these, part of your standard wrestling arsenal are these old school shoulder blocks where you're just driving your shoulder into his stomach and you do it like 3 times as he's in the corner. And it's like a known thing. So we don't roll dice for every single move. We just roll dice for like the big moves that really are going to change the story of the match. So in this instance, I don't think you need to roll for this. You're just you're driving your shoulder into his stomach, and he's really playing up like and having all the breath knocked out of him. You draw back for your third one, and then that's when he springs off the bottom rope through your arms into what's called a sunset flip, where he kind of gets his legs on your shoulders and is trying to flip you bodily all the way over.
Wow.
Are you going to let him do that?
No, I want to stop him.
Yeah?
I want to keep control here. Yeah.
All right. So you still have control until you, basically at this point, unless you give control back to me, which you can do, or you fail a move, or someone else interferes, you're still in control. So I would say, though, he's not a small guy. He's a luchador, but he's not a small guy. You probably you don't outweigh him by that much. So in order to really block him and stop him from moving you around, this is either I'd say it is time to do the wrestling move again, but you're going to have to roll on power for this.
Okay, that sounds cool to me. I did spend that +1 into power, so as a veteran, I would have a -1, but I'm flat on power. So here we go. Oh my goodness, what is up with these dice streams going away in April, and it can't go away any sooner right now.
So that is
a 2.
That is snake eyes. Oh boy. All right. This is perfect. So again, you don't have enough momentum to bring this up to the 7-9. So this is a botch, and I get control again. So he, you go to grab his legs and keep him from doing this flip. He grabs the ropes for leverage to keep you from pulling him off of your shoulders. And then while he's holding on to the ropes, blocked from view from the ref is behind you and can't see his hands. And that's when he actually uses those ropes as leverage to bring your head down into the top turnbuckle, slamming your head on the turnbuckle.
Oh!
It would be an illegal move, but the ref can't see that he's using the ropes as leverage. So you go staggering back, stunned by this blow to the head, and that's when he then jumps up to the second rope, then jumps to the top rope, and then does what's called a springboard moonsault off the top rope, doing a backflip through the air, landing directly on you in the center of the ring.
Holy crap, this guy's insane.
Yeah, he's a pretty intense guy. Here's the thing. You are actually booked to win this match. So before we started the match, I made a note about who I want to win this match based on all the other storylines going on and whatnot. Now that the match is kind of getting to its climax, I'm revealing the booking, and then we have to, figure out how to get there from where we are. So you botched. He had this great move. He's landed on you. He has you straight in the middle of the ring, but he's booked to lose. He's going to lose his mask. How do we get there? How do you turn this into a winning situation for the Mighty Plus?
Oh, I think that we go through the series of he pins the Mighty Plus, and Mighty Plus it takes the second.
Yeah, we count
2, and he kicks out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the second count, and he kicks out just barely, and it's obvious that he's tired, right? But then he goes for a little bit of cheap heat. He doesn't call to he can't work the audience, right? But he can call out to Gauntlet City High School. And his fans and everybody on YouTube, and then...
All right, so you get another momentum, because cheap heat is a move. When you call out to the city or location that you're in, you just get a momentum. You do that once per episode, but you haven't done it yet. So go ahead and... You should be up to 3 by now, I believe, which may matter for what's to come. So you call out to, Gauntlet City High School, and you're reaching out for your tag team partner, right? Because they're all your tag team partners. Yeah,
absolutely.
And so that's
how they know.
Mm-hmm, and that's when they start doing the stomp again. Not the guys close, but at least the kids up in the cheap seats start stomping for you again.
Sweet. So I think that gives him a supernatural amount of power, right? And he starts just wailing, just hammer fisting onto Diablo Mascara. It's not those fancy moves that this luchador is pulling off. It's just old classic wrestling. Mm-hmm. Just swings him into the ropes and does a choke slam, knocks him to the ground, and then I think he's just going to go for the finishing move, right? It's
all right.
Let's do it. Okay.
What is the Mighty Plus's finisher? Is it the plus pile driver?
It is absolutely the plus pile driver, a nice classic move that is also alliterative, so perfect.
Yep. That's how we do it. All right, so he's stunned from the choke slam that you bounce off the ropes into your fist. You lift him up, slam him down, and then lift him up again to pull him into the plus pile driver. So you're going to roll for your finishing move. So this is one of your gimmick moves. It is rolled flat with no stat.
All right, so I have 3 momentum, as we said, so here we go. Whew, okay, I've rolled a 6, but I can spin...
You can spend all 3 to bring it to a 9. That's still not quite.
Might as well just spend 1, right?
Yeah.
I'll just spend 1 to get in that 7 to 9.
Yep.
Okay. So 7 to 9, they make you work for it.
Mm-hmm.
You use your veteran skills to force a win and gain +1 heat with them, or you let them look strong in defeat and they gain +1 audience. So I think
you're already at +4 heat with him.
Exactly. So why not let him look strong in defeat?
All right. So I think what happens is, you power slam him, you pull him up for the plus pile driver, and he, you pull his, his head's down, his feet are up, and then he actually manages to keep the momentum going, go over you and pick you up for a pile driver, and everyone's like, what? But then you make one last push and you swing the momentum again. I'm making big hand motions here. You swing the momentum again, get back on your feet. His feet are in the air, and that's when you hit him with the pile driver.
Nice.
And he falls over into the 1, 2, 3, and that's when you can take his mask off.
Oh man, that's it. Yeah, they bring the scissors out.
Mm-hmm. They bring the scissors out, and then you're cutting up the back of his mask, and as you're about to pull it off, we cut to commercial.
Yes. Oh man, that was fantastic, Nathan.
Yeah. And
Thank
so
you.
You would each end up with an additional audience. You get +1 audience for working the match with someone that you had that much heat with. He gets the audience for your veteran maneuver result. And then, we would go from there. And then the next stage of the story, does that mean that he leaves? Does that mean that he just changes his gimmick now that he's been unmasked? Maybe he's gained respect for you and becomes an ally. Who knows? We'll have to keep playing to find out.
I love it. Oh, man. Nathan, thank you so much for coming on +1 Forward and Show Me Worldwide Wrestling. This was super fun.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
+1 Forward is a production of the Gauntlet community and Richard Rogers. You can find us on gauntlet-rpg.com or follow us on Twitter at GauntletRPG. The games mentioned on this show use the Apocalypse engine, which is a creation of Vincent and McGay Baker. The music for +1 Forward is from the Savage Oral Hotbed CD Gomi Daiko. The songs used are Gomi Daiko Metal version and Process. You can find more amazing tunes by Savage Oral Hotbed on their website, savageoralhotbed.com.